Hey everyone, RogueGold here. Welcome back to The Division. I hope you enjoyed that immersive intro, and as you might have been able to tell by the title of the video, Survival is back. Technically, it never left, right? You can always go in and play the mode, but as of right now, you can play it as it was intended, with populated servers and new rewards to claim by going in and playing, which is pretty surreal to see nearly a decade after this mode first released. It's all thanks to Survive Fest, an event being hosted by the Division team. If you're looking for participation details on what the full rewards breakdown for partaking in this are, I did a video on that back on Monday. I will link it down in the description below. In this video, though, now that it is live and people have been playing, I really wanted to just reminisce a little bit about the legacy and specialness of this mode, and we'll talk about a few other things, so sit back, relax. If you enjoy this one and you want to catch my future coverage and content on The Division and The Division 2, then be sure to subscribe. Shout out and thank you to our channel members for your ongoing support and generosity. It truly means so much to me that you go the extra mile to support in the way that you do, so thank you. But without further ado, let's dive in. Okay, so if you're not quite aware of the history of Survival, it's quite a storied one. We won't get into the entire thing here, but without exaggeration, this was one of the gaming industry's first true battle royale and extraction shooter hybrid kind of modes. Right, nowadays those are obviously two very distinct genres with mass appeal. Survival initially released as a side DLC to the original Division game, and while it tended to be very popular with those who played it, that additional paywalled access held it back from truly getting that mainstream attention back in the day. But as I said, for those who did play it or those who have in the years since, it really sticks with you. As you might have caught on to in the intro there, the immersion in here is top notch, right? The audio design, the decreased visibility, the UI, they've integrated just everything. The tension that you feel throughout the mode is fine-tuned for some truly unforgettable moments. And all of this contributes to creating an experience like no other that I've had in gaming. And it does this all to such a good degree that this little side mode to the Division 1 still draws in new eyes and pretty widespread attention online all these years later. So, what did Ubisoft decide to do to capitalize on the magic of this game mode? Well, for a while, really nothing at all. The Division 1 continued on, Survival got some minor changes here and there, but that was really it. Then when the Division 2 was coming around, rumors began circulating that it was set to make a return. Teases were dropped as the devs came out and acknowledged that they really did have something special on their hands, and that paywalling it off was one of their largest mistakes made. It seemed like something was cooking, but then nothing really came from that either. Then the Division Heartland got announced, which, while it didn't feature the same bleak winter environment as the original, this was poised as Survival's spiritual successor by the dev team, and then 3 years later that got cancelled. Finally, though, this past August it was announced that The Division 2 Survivors is in development, a true sequel to the original Survival. It's being led and built by many of the same people who had their hands on the blueprint of the original, and we're set to get a fully snowy, blizzardy, and grim take on the mode in Washington, D.C. I'm quite excited for it. So, circling back around to right now, the reason why everybody is jumping into the original this week is because the dev team is promoting Survive Fest, which, while many are just running to earn the rewards that you can get in the Division 2, the underlying purpose of this is to begin building anticipation for survivors, as well as refresh people's memories about what they liked and didn't like from this original mode, so that the dev team can make the most informed decisions as possible as development progresses. They've said that a survey should be sent out to all participants once the event concludes so that they can gather feedback in a more structured manner. But yeah, I figured what's the harm in chatting a little bit about it now. Of course, feel free to write out your own thoughts and feedback for the team in the comments below. But I think it goes without saying, I love the original Survival, and I would caution the team heavily against making big changes here just for the sake of change, right? A lot of what works and what people loved is just the simplicity, you know? You go in and you try to survive. But, of course, there are areas where I think many can agree that a few improvements would be nice to see. One that nearly everybody agrees on, and that I've talked about for years, is random loot. OG Survival had static loot spawns, meaning that experienced players with the mode could memorize loot routes from various spawn points, and that ended up taking out a lot of the tension and danger from scavenging and exploring. So seeing that changed and having truly random loot spawns is definitely my #1 hope for what we see changed in Survivors. Another pain point, though, that I've really identified during Survive Fest here, since the servers are packed, once again, is the spawn-in system. At the start of each match, everybody begins in a safe house on the outer perimeter of the map, but due to that proximity, right, sometimes multiple players can start in the same safe house, others are just placed very close to one another. This means that sort of awkward fights consistently break out immediately after a match begins. Everybody is just spamming their low damage pistols, breaking their trigger fingers trying to do so. Of course, this really only applies within the PvP mode, but even for the PvE instance, I think that some kind of more dynamic or spread out spawn system could help reduce the amount of loot rush that the start of a match has. I don't know, it may be that that is more complicated to solve, but that is definitely one area that I would love to see improved. Otherwise, the changes they've already announced sound fantastic. They've talked about how there's going to be more dynamic weather and how that's going to play into you making different choices each match that you run. They're going to be expanding the underground network to encourage more exploration and give you more options when it comes to the weather and how you traverse the map. So that all sounds really cool. As if I wasn't already anxious enough, Survive Fest this week has absolutely made me feel that much more hungry for survivors to get here, hopefully sometime in 2026. I truly cannot wait. Well, my friends, that is about everything I've got for you today. Really, I just wanted to share some gameplay, give my brief thoughts after the launch of Survive Fest this week. It's been really cool to see the community diving back into this mode, right, with consistently populated servers. I think the anticipation is really there for survivors, and I hope that the team is ready to step up to the plate and knock it out of the park. At this point, if you haven't already, I would love to get some of your guys' thoughts on this whole topic. If you've jumped into survival during Survive Fest here so far, what do you think about it? How has your experience been? Has your perspective changed at all from when you may have played it years ago? And aside from the things that I pointed out, are there any major changes or innovations that you would like to see made to survivors when that does roll around? Whatever you're thinking, can't wait to read through it. That is going to do it for me today, though. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll catch you back soon. RogueGold out.